The off-season 2024 programme for Blackburn Rovers under-21s, a little overview video. Talk you through everything in a bit more detail than I did in person. So starting with phases of the off-season, phase 1, rest and recover. It's important that you take some time away, kind of like de-stress, get away from the environment, do some things that you don't normally have time to do, see some friends, see some family. At the same time, you're all approaching the end of season at different stages. Some of you have played a lot more games than others. You might be carrying knocks, have different like injury concerns and stuff like that that you need to kind of like work around and address in this time away from the club. And therefore you'll need a different amount of time off. So by the time this goes out on the 8th of May, you might be ready. You might have had time to kind of like relax a bit since the West Ham game, or you might still be needing a bit more time. So it'll depend on where you're at, and if you're not entirely sure, just reach out to me, and I'll give you a bit more personal advice. Secondly, second phase, building. So it's a great opportunity away from playing football 1 to 2 hours a day, 5-6 days a week, to really build some physical qualities. So whether that be muscle strength, size, power outputs, sprint speed, this is your opportunity to concentrate on those areas. Or what it takes is a bit of guidance, which I'm giving you now, and hard work on your part. Take the off season. If we've got a decent length this time, 5 and a bit weeks it'll be before we come back. So come back fitter, stronger, in a position to physically dominate. And that leads us into the third phase, impress. So I'll give you a bit of guidance on how to approach the final week before we return, closer to the time. But the opportunity to impress comes around every pre-season. There's a lot more eyes on people, players moving up and down squads, seeing where they're at, opportunities to play in front of the first team manager, things like that. So what's really important is that you come back in a position to impress, and that starts physically. So we come back on the 20th of June. We do all the fitness testing, so that'll be the jump testing, which is the counter movement jump and the drop jump, both the unilateral and bilateral, so single leg and double leg. It'll be Nordics, and all the other strength testing that we do with the isometrics of the hip squeeze, and calf strength testing, and then it'll also be a yo-yo, a max effort yo-yo run by the first team staff. So it's really important that you come back knowing what's to come, and you're in a position to really nail those tests. So what I would recommend is some of the more unfamiliar tests, like the single leg counter movement jump, the single leg drop jump. You do kind of practice periodically in parts of your warm up and things like that. I'll just move myself here. So accessing Team Builder, first up you need to make sure you have the latest version of the app. So it's a grey icon. The old version had an orange icon. Make sure you've got the latest one, because that's how you access this program. Once you've got the latest app, if you haven't used Team Builder before, it's a dead simple process. I just need an email from you, and we can set that up on the side. So I'm thinking like the under 18s moving up. Once you're on the app, you'll need to click the yellow home button. That'll take you to like today's page, and then the 3 dots in the top right corner, that'll allow you to view the program library and the programs imaginatively called Under-21s Off Season 2024, and then you'll be able to see each week and each day of the program from there. Using Team Builder, dead simple. The main benefit of having the program on Team Builder is that you can start it on whichever day you wish, and just kind of work through the program sequentially, so day by day. Simply start on day one once you've had your short deload, and then you can work through the program. So you don't have to do 4 days a week, the 4 days a week gym program that's planned. You can spread that over a bit longer or shorter if you want to do a bit more or less, depending on how you feel like you're recovering and stuff like that. There are two main pathways. So if I move myself again, so here there are two main pathways on the program: size and strength. You can both see, or you can see both those pathways. They're on the home screen of Team Builder. Another benefit: the majority of the exercises all have demonstrations, and so do all the pitch-based stuff. It's all got a video for you. There are movement categories instead of exercises, so I'll go into that in a bit more detail later. But you can see here on the bent knee hamstring, that's the movement category, and then you've got a drop down there where you can pick which exercise you want to do. Depending on the pathway that you choose and the exercise, you've been given a suitable rep range. So an example of how to progress is on the slide. So 3 sets of 5 to 8 reps. Basically, once you can hit the top end rep range for each set, that's when you know how it's time to add weight next time you come to that training day. Under the 2 strength pathways, there's also your conditioning option for the day. So whether that be off feet or pitch based. And then finally in the drop, you can see here you got RPE, which is a basic 4-point questionnaire. I want to know how long it took you to do the strength, how long it took you to do the conditioning, and how hard out of 10 you found each of that. There's details on the questionnaire. And that's just a way of monitoring your workload while you're away from the club. So the program is basic. Is a basic 4-day strength program. So each session is full body. There includes areas of strength, core work, and injury prevention in each session. And then on top of that, you've got conditioning elements of pitch-based and off-feet conditioning. The benefit of it being a full-body training program is you'll never be too sore for the next day's training or for later pitch sessions, and you'll be able to attack each element of the session with gusto. So it won't be, for example, if you've already hit some lunges, some squats, and some calves on a leg day, your hamstring work won't be neglected because it'll be still relatively fresh for that day. So yeah, that's to prevent excessive fatigue. Moving on, in an ideal world, the pitch-based work would take place first in a day when doing 2-a-days. You'd do your pitch-based work, you'd have at least 2 hours rest, have a chance to eat, refuel, and then you'd go do the gym work later on in the day. That would be ideal. Obviously, everyone's circumstances are different. You might have to compact them together or do it in the opposite way around, depending on what's available to you. Like I said, the movement categories that we use instead of exercises, that is all on, like I say, it's all on Team Builder. It's fairly self-explanatory, and it just allows a bit more freedom for you when going through the program. And then there's also a injury prevention slot that I'll touch on a bit later, and that's just a way of individualizing it based on your injury history and any weak links that you may have. So the 2 pathways that I've been talking about, there's a size pathway and a power pathway. So that will determine how you perform the exercises, whether you're trying to take your time with them, if you're going for down the size route, or whether you're trying to be as explosive as possible on the power pathway. But don't worry about being on the size pathway and then not getting any benefits to your power output in the off season, because there is quite a lot of overlap between the two, and you should get an all-round benefit. It'll just be weighted differently depending on the pathway. Like I said, the movement categories allow you to pick exercises that you know you can perform well, you understand that the gym that you're using has the facilities for, and align to your pathway and your preferences. Once you've chosen an exercise for a movement category, in an ideal world, you'd stick with that for the entire training block. So a bit more detail on the pathways. The size pathway is, as it says on the terms, focused on increasing muscle size and strength. So you'll lift weights through a full range of motion, getting a good stretch and controlling it on the way down. So if we take a lift like a rear foot elevated split squat with your foot on a bench, you'll control your body and the weight on the way down, get a good stretch in the bottom with the knee just off the floor, and then come up. For the size pathway, you'll want to push sets to failure or near failure, so as close as you can without your technique going wrong. And then on the last set of key lifts, so for example, if you pick your key lift for your vertical pull being a pull-up or a chin-up, on the last set of that exercise, you'll go for as many as possible. And on Team Build, that's AMAP, as many as possible reps on that last one. So really push it to failure. That's what triggers hypertrophy, triggers muscle growth. And then you'll want to choose exercises that allow you to hit that stretch position and that you can control. So think of, for your horizontal push, so anything going away from you in the horizontal plane, something like an incline dumbbell bench would be more suitable than a floor press, because the floor would get in the way here and it'd stop you getting that real deep stretch that you'd get from an incline dumbbell bench, for example. For the power pathway, it's all about maximizing your explosiveness, so trying to move athletically and explosively. So the reps tend to be a bit on the lower side. The weights need to be a bit heavier, or something that you can move fast and with intent. And that's what it's all about on the power pathways. Each rep needs to be meaningful, it needs to be purposeful, it needs to be explosive. So again, picking an exercise that allows you to move explosive. So I've put here on a vertical push, something like a landmine push press, where you're dipping, driving and throwing the weight, as opposed to a seated dumbbell overhead press would be more aligned to that pathway. Like I said, the injury prevention that I touched on earlier, each gym session has a slot. So the gym sessions, they utilize supersets, so you get a conditioning benefit. So everything's paired. So you do the first one with the second one, and then back to the first one. So the injury prevention stuff, if you've not had any injury issues, I'd generally kind of move through your common sites like a calf, a hamstring, an adductor, a quad. But for most of it, I think there are some weak points that we know that we need to address. So these, as a rule, can be thrown into the gym session, but then they can also be included outside of the actual strength sessions to kind of get a little bit of extra work. In that sense, in that case, like it says at the top, 2 to 4 sets of 2 to 3 exercises, and go through them that way. You can either mix and match, so pick 2 or 3 areas, or you could hammer all 3 exercises for a single area and kind of like work through it that way. It's dealer's choice, really. There's 3 exercises per target area. Each one is linked to a video, so I'll send the slides out. Click on the exercise, that'll take you to a link on YouTube. And the third exercise for each target area is something that requires no equipment, so you can do that anywhere. A few of them are similar, but the third one down for each one as a minimum is something you can do in any location. So the conditioning, your fitness levels is vital based on your return for pre-season. It'll determine how you handle the workload. It'll help you prevent injury and it'll help you impress staff. So there are 4 elements that I cover on the slides. Off-feet conditioning, which is stuff on the bike, on the skier, on the assault bike, on the row machine, stuff that kind of like saves the joints and allows you to really build an aerobic base and do the longer, like 30-40 minute plus conditioning sessions. The days of long 5-10k runs as your conditioning for the off season are kind of done. You need to be including weekly sprint work, weekly hard change of direction work to condition your hamstrings, your groins, your calves, your quads to keep up to work with that. It's a good training stimulus. It'll help you improve those elements of your physicality, but also prevent you being picking up any injuries on return to pre-season when we get into like really demanding possessions and games and stuff like that. You need to have maintained your ability to do that sort of work in the off season. And then there's some volume work as well, so we'll really test the legs and lungs. With your pitch-based work, just as important as maintaining your ability to sprint and change direction is your involvement with the ball. So you can't go 5 weeks without having done any ball striking, because as soon as you return, you'll start feeling your groins and your quad will be at risk of injury there. So use the pitch-based work when you take which is 2-3 times a week as a minimum. Use that as a chance to include some ball striking, some small area technical work, and work keep that ability as well. I will be putting together some bolt-ons, if you will, some like little additional work based on a few requests that I've already had. So this will be out in a few days. It'll be shorter sessions that can be added to the end of pitch or gym sessions. The intention behind it is that it's something you can do without equipment in any place. So if you go on a holiday, you can do it on holiday and maintain that. So some areas that I've had requests for already are some agility work, some additional ankle stability and stiffness work, and extra hamstring work. So those will be 3 areas that do get put out, and that'll be available for anyone to do on top of the work that's being given, not in place of the core program. This is a simple recovery flowchart. So just to kind of keep on top of, let me move my head again. Basically, just to keep on top of your recovery while you're hitting this hard training. So starting with how you feel at the top and just kind of work your way down. So for example, are you feeling stiff? Do you feel restrained? And then the two drop downs here, movement, some massage, or some contrast bathing, so hot cold. These are just potential solutions for you to kind of keep on top of your the quality of your musculature and stuff like that. The last couple of slides, just some nutrition and sleep guidelines. They're a bit on the busy side, so I won't go into too much detail here, but proper sleep, proper nutrition are essential to getting the most out of the work that you're putting in training. So brushing up, sweeping through this, making sure you're hydrated, make sure you're getting sufficient protein and carbohydrates to fuel your sessions. Eating quality whole foods with as few ingredients as possible. Jamie is available, nutritionist. He can point you in the direction, anything there. And me and Jamie both have discount codes for any supplements you want to be taking, like a whey protein, a creatine, or anything like that. Just get in touch. Same with the sleep guidelines. It's ideal that you get 8 hours plus of sleep a night. There's some sleep tips on the slide. Just basic stuff, having a cold dark room, trying to be consistent with what time you go to bed, having a wind down routine and avoiding caffeine and things like that after 1 p.m. Check-in process. So everything on Team Builder, if you enter the weights and the reps that you use, I get a report on the back end combined with the RPE. It kind of does all that for you. So by you using the app properly, I can see what everyone's up to. So there's no need for things that we did over lockdown, like stuff like screenshots and videos of you doing certain exercises each week. So if you use Team Builder properly, I'll be able to see what you're doing and be able to keep an eye on you that way. Myself and Elliot are available through Teamworks, so you can get us on there. You can get us in the group that I'm going to post this in, and my number's on the screen if you need anything. Elliot's also around at the SDC during the off season, working with injured players. He is on holiday from the 10th of May to the 28th, I believe. So check in with Elliot before you just kind of like show up, and hope you're getting in a good session. Final point, I know the popularity of using private coaches is really high at the moment. From my point of view, I'm happy to speak to anyone that you're hiring or working with on a one-to-one basis. I feel like it's a benefit to all parties if there's an open dialogue there. So feel free to put me in contact with anyone that you're working with. And finally, enjoy your summer, work hard. What you do now is how you start the pre-season, how you go into the season 2024-25. So don't leave any stone unturned. Put the work in, reap the rewards. Enjoy your summer.